In this video we will discuss the English Bull Terrier, and that is out of the perspective of a Bull and Terrier lover as myself. So we will discuss what went wrong, but also what went well, and how to place it in the grand scheme of things of other Bull and Terriers, in my personal preference. So the English Bull Terrier was a cross between the Bull and Terrier, so the working Staffordshire Bull Terrier, the pit dog on one hand, and the English White Terrier on the other hand. After that they introduced other breeds, but that's the original cross. And that cross was done to make a status symbol. Little bit like the American Bullies were bred in modern times. And it was at first so to be show dog. Also the English Bull Terrier was recognized and went for the show dog title earlier than the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and that also implies why the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, which came from the Bull and Terrier, had to place Staffordshire in front of it. So these dogs were there to give bragging rights that you had a pit dog. Goedemorgen. That you had a pit dog, but then with a very noble type of color, all white, made possible by the English White Terrier of that time. But the English White Terrier at the time was not a strong terrier. It was the weakest terrier that was available at the time, but did carry that sought after white coat that they wanted. So the bragging rights were then, how do you say this, amplified by stating that a show-winning English Bull Terrier did so after competing in the pit against Bull and Terriers, one at least, or some claim even multiple, and then went in for the show and was unsketched, not a scratch on it. Well, this is quite unlikely for several reasons. I'm not saying it's impossible, but a dog that is able to do so should be an ace, and so an ace is that good that the other does not have any answer for it. And an ace in this case could be made that way because of the heterosis of the English White Terrier. But as I mentioned, which was the weakest of all terriers, so quite unlikely. And then there is that other point that the Bull and Terrier was the best pit dog of that time. So there was a reason that they bred a more civilized Bull and Terrier, and by introducing English White Terrier and giving him more of an knight in shining armor type of feel, the White Knight they were also called. But the Bull and Terrier was reigning supreme in the pit on average. So it is possible, but quite unlikely, and also it fits in the dogma that they still had the bragging rights of a pit dog, but in a more civilized white coat, and that they then could sell it. That was the main purpose, of course, sell it for a higher price. So they made a working dog a lot more, they are upselling a working dog by changing parts. And we know this also from American Bully. The people that created them in the beginning flirted enormous amount with the fighting stats of the American Pit Bull Terrier, the functional one, and then claimed that their dogs were even tougher because they looked to the untrained eye a lot tougher, because they were so much wider, bigger jaws, bigger sometimes, especially the extreme bullies, the XXLs. But they were not as tough. And they are certainly not as tough because they are far less functional. So back to the English Bull Terrier. Then I bred them for a while and found out, I think because of the inbreeding, that they had some problems, especially the deafness and also skin diseases were quite occurrent. So they're bred in next to the other breeds, for example, Borzoi and other breeds like the Dalmatian that were used to keep the white color but also create the down face to further differentiate it from the lesser normal working class pit dog in their opinion. But they were not able to fix this, and so they had to cross back to the then show version. As I mentioned, Staffordshire Bull Terrier was recognized as a show dog in a later stage, but then, like the American Pit Bull Terrier in the past and American Staffordshire Terrier in the past, they were recognized for show purposes, but also for fighting purposes. So those first days Staffordshire Bull Terriers could have been a little bit of both, but predominantly show dogs. Okay, back to the basics of the English Bull Terrier that was faulted, especially by deafness and skin problems, was crossed back to the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, the show version, to create a dog that was healthier, and they succeeded, and then crossed back directly into the English Bull Terrier gene pool. So just a little bit of Staffordshire Bull Terrier was added. That also gave rise to the different colorations. So the white Cavalier, as they were also called, the white Knight, now also came in spotted versions. And to this day, I think if you want to go for an English Bull Terrier, you're better off with one that has a little bit more color in it than the all white ones. So, there the story ends, one could say. Over the years, dogs were further exaggerated, some were also more heavy built, and that deterred the working capabilities to a higher degree, but there's also some backlash. Some people that want to restore the original English Bull Terrier, which was created by Hinks. So some call them Hinks Bull Terriers, Old Bull Terriers, working Bull Terriers. So also English in England did this part, but also, for example, Van Nellen now is doing his part in Germany by crossing them with working Bull Terriers, predominantly American Pit Bull Terriers. And in some other fields they were also crossed with American Staffordshire Terriers and others to create something. And those dogs are a lot more functional. They also lose the barrel chest, but oftentimes they try to keep the down face because they like that. I think they just want to make the breed that they like a lot better, and they succeed in that. But the down face is a feature that is of course helping to discriminate between other Bull Terriers, and a unique feature, one might say, but it's not helping working capability at all. So, and those dogs are sometimes also very successfully being used as pig dogs, and it's not only in England and in France, but over the world. Also in the creation of the Dogo Argentino, for example, in Southern America, they used English Bull Terrier, especially show stock, but after a while also better stock, more functional stock, and succeeded to create a nice dog. And the dominant ancestor for quality was, next to the Cordoba fighting dog, the English Bull Terrier, to the highest degree. Also in Australia you see those using English Bull Terriers for pig dogs, and also creation, for example, of new breeds such as the Bull Arab, So this dog still has some nice features, and also a funny thing is that even if they are showbred, oftentimes they still have some gameness left in them. So that's a funny thing in my opinion. Another thing to consider is that there are also some other crosses with English Bull Terrier. For example, as I mentioned, the Bull Arab, Dogo Argentino, new breeds. But also, for example, Bull Russells, which have a little bit of miniature English Bull Terrier blood, but also carry Russell blood, so Jack Russell, Parson Russell blood in them. So that's a nice thing. And there's quite a big fancy of enthusiasts that also want to create a bigger or better or smaller version of them. So another version is the Titan Terrier project, which use Patterdale Terrier, English Bull Terrier blood and American Pit Bull Terrier to improve working capability, health and strength and courage. So those are good things to see. Also in Italy you see the Staffordshire Italiano project, which also crosses English Bull Terrier and Staffordshire Bull Terrier and perhaps some other breeds to create their own blends, which is nice. So in the grand scheme of things, I think that you might know where we are heading. I don't think you should cherish things like a down phase if they are exaggeration without functionality. But I'm weird in that because I prefer performance and character over all the rest. But if you really like the down phase, you can have very nice examples of the English Bull Terrier, especially those of Vanilla, which have a lot of other working Bull Terrier blood in them, which helps to still have that down phase. Or a Bull Russell, which I like more over the years because they are a lot smaller, and I like smaller dogs in general. In the grand scheme of things, I classify the English Bull Terrier from all the Bull Terriers quite low, and I would prefer the miniature Bull Terrier over the normal regular size, because they are on average a bit healthier, and also because they carry less weight, less prone to have all kind of troubles in the movement system and health, but still on the low part of the scale. So those that I would not recommend that much, if at all. But I'm now talking about the show versions. If you are looking at performance type, they classify a lot higher. So if you look at the regular size, American Pit Bull Terrier is the highest. If you also incorporate a family setting, like I do, Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier might be better choice. But in pure performance they cannot match American Pit Bull Terrier. And after that I classify the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and after that the American Staffordshire Terrier. And if you also incorporate the very big dogs, Dogo Argentino, of working lines especially, is a nice breed to have. And also some crosses like the Bull Arab could be nice to have, but I would rather have a Bull Grey. So contrary to the Bull Arab, the source of Bull in the Bull Grey is more American Pit Bull Terrier combined with Greyhound, and I like those dogs a lot more. Not taking anything away from the Bull Arab, and I would like even more than both of them a Scott type American Bulldog or a Painter Margarita type, even more preferably. Johnson type not so much at all, because I don't like the extreme weight and the short nose. So what I was telling, that I like the Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier for a family setting better than the American Pit Bull Terrier. The American Pit Bull Terrier I like the most, then the Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier. and because there's a working line, and then I would classify in capability working breds, English Bulldogs, English Bull Terriers. Why? Because they have a fusion of other working Bull Terriers and is still being evolved. So what this implies is that you have a dog that is still being scaled to more perfection. And after that, I would look into the Staffordshire Bull Terrier regular, and then American Staffordshire Terrier. And only then I would consider the regular English Bull Terrier. If you look at the smaller breeds, I like the crosses of the miniature Bull Terrier with working type of Russells. So I place those higher. Top of the scale I would put the Patterdale Terrier, then the Border Terrier, and then the Bull Russell, and then the regular miniature Bull Terrier. So I hope that helps. There's also the BULL TERRIER project, of course, in India, which is not so much a project, but those dogs are still very capable, and those could classify higher. They could classify at least as high as the working type Bull Terriers, as for example now made in France, in my opinion, but they don't carry that down face that much. So if you're not stuck to the down face, there are better breeds to begin with. Irish Staffordshire Bull Terrier, for example, which also carries some English Bull Terrier blood, and American Pit Bull Terrier even more so. But I'm looking more into the smaller dogs, and I like the Patterdale Terriers enormously, especially this male type. Hope this helps. Have a great day. Out.